We've got Jeff Fisher on the horn. He, of course, now is a USFL head coach with the Michigan Panthers.
Yeah.
22 years as a head coach. Before we bring him in here, we've got a sponsored segment that we have to do. Coach, stand by. It's just going to be a minute. This segment is you got the read, right, Mikey?
I got the read. Yeah,
All
this King of the Land segment is sponsored by the Pro Football Hall of Fame Village. Get your tickets to the USFL playoffs and championship in Canton on June 25th and July 3rd. Tickets are on sale today at HallOfFameVillage.com. Jay, you're King of the Land today.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So this King of the Land segment is going to be very quick. So I love football. I love it. I want to care about the USFL. I'm finding it hard to get all the way in.
Yeah.
And here's why. First of all, we don't have a team in Cleveland, so why would I care? But secondly, a lot of these guys I've heard of. They're on the fringe. I've heard of them. Some of them had great college careers. Some of them have played in the NFL. I have a quick King of the Land plan that could make the USFL a little more relevant. And here it is. I want teams in Columbus, Detroit, Dallas. Give me one in Tuscaloosa. Give me one in Indianapolis.
Southern California.
Southern California for sure, an LA team, a Florida team. And here's what I want to tap into. College football, we love. There are a ton of guys that come out of Ohio State that go to the NFL, but there are a lot more that don't. They might be tweeners. So my plan is put teams in cities that go nuts for college football. And here's my rule. The Columbus team, I want their uniforms to be scarlet and gray. You can't infringe on the Buckeye thing, but scarlet and gray, put them in Columbus. And here's my rule. At least half of the roster have to be former Buckeye players. So in Jeff's case, he coaches in the Michigan team.
Right.
They've got a former Michigan quarterback, and I think that's a very smart play.
But
Michigan
and Michigan State players.
Put 50% of the roster on the Michigan team have to be former Michigan players or Michigan State players. In Southern California, they have to be USC or UCLA players.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis, they've got to be former Notre Dame players. Tuscaloosa, former Alabama players.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's doable because I don't know if there's enough former players from those programs, but I would think they are.
That would be cool.
And it would automatically give college football fans a reason to put their teeth into these teams and say, oh, hell yeah, I remember J.T. Barrett when he was a great quarterback at Ohio State. I'll watch him on the pro level.
Get him involved.
So let's bring in Jeff Fisher. Jeff, am I completely living on Crazy Island today? Is that a doable thing at all? Or you can kill me if it's a bad idea.
Well, no, I'm not going to kill anybody, but I don't think you're going to have enough players from the program. We're sitting here with 8 teams. Right now, each roster has been actually increased to 50. And I've got kids from Stony Brook to Eastern Washington to, Auburn and from all over the place. And so what you do have is a player pool that consists of a bunch of great young men that just for whatever reason haven't got that opportunity. And this is what this thing is all about. And so you're going to have a hard time. Now, put them in different places, maybe, which I think is the strategic plan. I believe is the strategic plan for the USFL. We got to get through year one first, because really nobody, with the exception of the old USFL, has gotten through the first year. But once you get through the first year and then you start to spread things out from a cost standpoint, it makes sense. It's a good model. But and those, where they go from here, I can't tell you, but I can tell you this, that having a lot of experience in this game, I am, despite our record, I'm having a lot of fun with these young men.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah. Coach Fisher, in terms of what you are doing with the league, is your focus and goal to develop the players to have a consistent place to play in the USFL, or is it geared towards getting guys ready for the next level or possibly going other places, CFL or the NFL? What is the structure and the business model look like as far as player development?
Let me I'll answer that this way. I had somebody last week ask me, a close personal friend of mine asked me, they said something to the effect that, man, had you known now what you knew back when, would you have done this? And I said, ask me in a month, maybe 6 weeks from now. And they said, why is that? I said, because I'll know at that time whether or not I've been able to get a couple kids or 3 or 4 or 6 camp. I'll know by that time, because that's the reason I did this. And I did it because I love the game. I want to help this league. I want to help these young guys, in addition to help some younger coaches. Now, I kind of went a different route when I put my coaching staff together, which is very, very small. I mean, there's 6 in addition to me. And then we have a couple kind of GA type of helpers or assistants. So you don't have a lot of coaches. I only had worked with one in the past. It was just a year, and he was a quality control assistant for me in St. Louis. And so I'm trying to give not only young coaches an opportunity to maybe take that next step, but also these players. 90%, I would say, the guys on our roster are aspiring to get to the NFL. There's probably 10% of them that are realistic, that just love football. So, it is. I mean, it is. Someone once said the difference between an average player and a good player is about 1,000 snaps. We're trying to get these young guys some snaps to, fair, equal opportunities to maybe have a chance to step foot inside of an NFL facility, to where they might have a chance to make a practice squad or contribute to a roster. So that's what this is all about. It's year one. We've got a lot of bumps in the road, and at this point really impressed with the production. You guys have seen some of the games or bits and pieces of it. Fox doing a great job with the production aspects. It just all came together real fast, and so, like I said, there's bumps in the road, there's twists and turns, there's stuff around the corner that we haven't anticipated, but I'd say, by and large, and you guys will get a close hand look at it in a couple of weeks when 4 teams come up to Cleveland, and they square off and they anoint a champion after the first year.
And Coach, I wanted to get into that because it was a great choice to go to the Hall of Fame to have these games for the Final Four, because obviously it's the birthplace of football. And as someone, I've lived in Cleveland for 11 years, but not growing up here, growing up in a place that was more a baseball town and then moving to Cleveland, and you're like, oh my God. I mean, I thought only Texas was crazy about football like this, but no, Ohio is as crazy, nutty about football as any state in the country. So I think it's a perfect location. I think the league made a smart choice coming here. Do you know what? I mean, is it for that reason? I mean, it's obviously a cool field, but is it part of because, the love of football in Ohio that you came here? Well,
Ohio is the house of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And, that's a great venue. As a matter of fact, I was up there, last summer. I came up, I was assisting Eddie George and TSU, and they opened against Grambling State there in the season opener, which was nationally televised. So I was there for a few days, kind of helping behind the scenes with respect to what Eddie's doing and at Tennessee State. And so, it doesn't take long to remember, what a great football town and what a great football state the state of Ohio is. But I have to remind you, as we sit here in Birmingham right now, about an hour and 15 minutes west of here is Tuscaloosa, and 2 hours the other direction is Auburn. So, and there's some good programs here in Birmingham. So there's football all over the country. I personally think to have a 2-game playoff system and to award someone the first championship, I couldn't think of a better place than Cleveland, and then of course Canton.
You just mentioned Eddie George, and obviously everybody loves him here, and you coached him. Now you're working with him as he's coaching. What's that like? The dynamic change, if you will, and how's he doing?
Well, he's doing great. I stepped. I was pretty much involved. I think I missed 1 game last year, so I attended all the games. And I'm gonna, when we're done here, I'm gonna go back to doing whatever I can to help him. He's a great man. He's a great friend. I love him like a son, and he's very, very passionate. And I think moving into his second year at Tennessee State University, I think you're going to see significant improvement. I mean, he's doing everything he possibly can. I don't know if you guys were aware, but to start the 23 season, Tennessee will be the visiting team in South Bend, and they'll play Notre Dame, which is going to be a historic game. So a lot more attention will go to TSU in 23 than this year, but I think they're going to do just fine.
Yeah, and we're watching Eddie closely. It was so fun to watch him, not just at Ohio State, but his professional career.
Oh, great player.
And Coach, when I think of your career, there's so many things that stand out. Your time with both Houston and then Tennessee and then St. Louis and Los Angeles. But the one thing that stood out most to me was Super Bowl 34, and I hate to bring up bad. I hope it's not a bad
great
memory
season.
But for me, as a journalist covering Super Bowls, that was one of the more memorable Super Bowls that I've ever covered because it literally came down to that last play. The stage, for those that don't remember or didn't watch the game, it was 23-16. You guys are driving the ball, and here's the famous picture. Kevin Dyson is doing everything he can to stretch out. Mike Jones tackles him just before he gets to the goal line. You can see where his elbow is down, and this, it's called a game of inches. I don't think anything ever proved that more than this play on the last play of the biggest game of the year. I've always wondered this, and I'm sure you've been asked, and I'm sure you've thought about it a million times.
I'll say no.
No. Okay, well, wait. Let me finish.
I know where you're going with this.
I know. It would have
gone for two.
It would have made it 23-22, and the ballsiest move of all would have been to say, we're lining up, we're going for two, we're going to win it right here. And you're saying, nope, you would have kicked it and had it go to a tie.
I'll preface it by this. I don't think you'll find, now I was in the league for a long time, but I don't think you'll find a head coach that's faked more punts and did more creative things than I did over my career. Okay, so, I like that kind of stuff, and I'm, we're working on that kind of stuff today here with my young group of guys. But I would have kicked the extra point, and I would have gone into overtime. I would not wanted to rob Eddie George and his teammates of a chance to be world champs because of a decision that I make that you guys referred to as ballsy. So I'm going to kick the extra point and go ahead and go into overtime. Now, I mean, we certainly had the momentum. You saw it. I mean,
absolutely.
It was an amazing game. And one of the things that's interesting about the game, and thanks for bringing it up, is it was the last time that the game was played immediately after the championship game.
Right.
Since that game, every game has had 2 weeks between the championship game and the Super Bowl. Right. We had to go down. We were in Jacksonville. It was a late game. We came back to Nashville. We had this thing at the stadium. Had a midnight team meeting, and myself and the team left the next morning to go to Atlanta. Left the coaches behind, the game plan, and it was a blur. It was a blur.
And there was
the
an
weather
ice
was
storm.
bad, everything. But
the ice storm in Atlanta was literally like you took the whole city, you dipped it in water that was 33 degrees, and you pulled it back out, and now it's frozen.
Yeah.
People were falling everywhere. It was a mess. Just a mess.
It was only fitting for us. We had played in 3 different home venues in 3 years, and we're just moving around 5. And, and as fate would have it, I've coached 2 teams in 5 different cities and 6 different stadiums before I started this venture here. So I've been through it, and it was no big deal to us. Obviously, it was a great ball game, and
hell of a game.
Appreciate you bringing up the memory.
Well, one great memory, Coach, is when I was growing up, and obviously when you watch quarterbacks, you watch Randall Cunningham, you watch quarterbacks like that, and the first guy that comes to my mind is Steve McNair, and just watching Aaron McNair and him coming from a historically black college or a small school, and seeing him be like a top pick. Talk a little bit about Steve McNair, how you guys, went and drafted him, what went into that, and a good story about Steve McNair and what he did for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thanks for bringing him up. I think about him every day. I miss him. I'm reminded about him here in Birmingham often. The stadium workers, the people, everybody here in Birmingham has been amazing. But people often ask me about, just what you're asking. What was he like? What was he about? And I mean, he clearly was our guy. guy. We do those pre-draft things, and junior year, I think, interestingly enough, he played in a West Coast type of offense, and it was until his senior year there at Alcorn where he just, he did some different things. He won a lot of games, scrambled around, did some stuff. We knew it was going to take him some time, and so we took our time with him. And after 3 years before we started him in the 90, I guess it would be the 98 season, and then 99, he led us to the Super Bowl. He had all kinds of experience. We brought him along, and for the leading up to the Super Bowl year, and even after, people would ask me, is he a top 3 or top 5 quarterback? And I say, that's a question you can answer, but I will tell you this: he is a top 3 football player. And that's what he was. He was a football player, and he was passionate about it. He was tough, and just some of the things that he overcame during his career, the little injury things. And I remember, I'm not going to get long-winded here, but I remember I was in Nashville waiting on a post-op thing for one of my sons who had broke his leg playing college football at University of Montana. Anyway, he was having some routine surgery, and I was just happened to be in recovery waiting, and I happened to look up, and I saw Steve. I thought I saw Steve walk right past my door, pushing a walker with Michelle, his wife. And I didn't get up. I just immediately called the trainer. I go, "What is up with Steve? Is he here at the hospital?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, Coach, I forgot to tell you. He's just over. Wow. He gets his epidural injections on Tuesday just so he can practice on Wednesday." And, I mean, that's how Steve was. I mean, Steve was, he wasn't an early morning guy. He was absolutely awful for the morning practices at training camp. If he didn't have his nap before the game, wherever we were on the road, our equipment guys their number one responsibility was to find a place where Steve could have that nap. He'd stay up late. He'd watch Andy Griffith. He'd watch Greg Smoke. He'd have a little sip of vodka, he said, but, he'd go to sleep. And, man, he'd have to just shake it all off, and he'd go out about 2 hours before kickoff and get warmed up and then come back in and sleep for a half hour. If he didn't sleep, it wasn't going to be till the third quarter until he woke up.
I love it.
If he got his nap, I knew he was going to win football games for us.
Coach, I got great stories, and obviously he was a great player. And I want to talk about another great player that you drafted, and that's Aaron Donald, who, of course, just recently signed another huge extension. Maybe the greatest defensive tackle we've ever seen, certainly the greatest defensive tackle currently playing. When you drafted him, obviously you thought he'd be good. Was there any way you could have imagined he'd be this good?
Well, going back to that pre-draft and all that kind of stuff, there was some sentiment in the building that he was, on all this analytic stuff that goes on nowadays, that he might have been a little bit too small or not quite big enough or not heavy enough or not quite. I obviously just kicked all that stuff out the window and said, we may trade up to get him, and, but he's going to be our guy. And so I'm not surprised, I didn't spend a lot of time with him because it was early in his career, but I'm not surprised as to what he's done. I actually had a conversation with one of my players yesterday post-practice that brought Aaron up, and this player was asking me what more he could do to try to get to, wow, the NFL. And, it was all about, and the conversation was, geared toward Aaron, and he had seen Aaron's podcast and talked about being prepared and having a plan and stuff like that. And that's why he's successful. Aaron can stand up there. His offense breaks the huddle. He'll scan back and forth. He'll slide into, his stance, and he'll know exactly what's going on. He'll have a plan. He'll know what he's going to do, and he does it. And he doesn't, Ronnie Lott, you guys know Ronnie. Ronnie, I was his teammate, and we remained friends. And Ronnie, at the top of his career, used to say, "You guess right, you're in the Pro Bowl. You guess wrong, you're in the streets. You're on the streets."
That's great.
Aaron Donald has taken all the guesswork out of this game. He is, not only does he have all the physical tools, extraordinary physical tools, but he has the discipline and he has the mindset, and he eliminates the guesswork. He's 100% sure of everything that he's doing. So I'm not surprised. I'm really happy for him.
He looked like it on the last play of the Super Bowl. He knew exactly what was coming.
No doubt.
Coach, first of all, I just wanted to say thanks for being here. And secondly, I love that your dog could not have less interest in being on this very popular sports show. It could not be less.
Where is it? I don't know.
He needs some petting.
Oh, he did.
It is desperate. It is thirsty for some pets.
He wants some
He's
petting.
really stressed right now.
I can only imagine.
He knows he's got to come to practice today, and the football running around really kind of wigs him out a little bit.
Well,
So,
rest up. Get that pregame nap.
What's his name?
Yeah, that's Dirk. That's my buddy.
Nice.
You know, people joke around. They go, "What do you got your dog here for?" I go, "Because he's an emotional support dog. I need an emotional support here in this league." But I'm just being facetious. I'm really enjoying myself, and it's about this game, man. And when I've been blessed, I've had a great career. And
You have.
I have no regrets, and I'm now in giving back mode. So anything I can do to help anybody, I'm all up for it right now.
Very good.
I appreciate the opportunity, guys. I'm big fans of yours. So
Well, listen.
keep up the good work, and go out and check the league out when they come to Cleveland and on to Canton.
We will, but and we know you got to go. We're going to just a quick hypothetical. We love to play those on this show.
I'm no hurry. Come on.
Okay.
I'm in no hurry.
I know
Go
you
ahead.
love fly fishing and Montana and the great outdoors. I'm going to give you the right to invite 3 people on a fly fishing trip up to your place in Montana. One has to be a player, former or current. One has to be another coach, former or current, just any time frame. And one broadcaster. Who are you taking?
Okay, let's see. Coach, there's a number of coaches that I'll tell you who really is real good fly fisherman, absolutely loves it, is Mike Smith. Who,
Wow.
you know, Mike, who was
Right.
at Atlanta. He's living in East Tennessee right now. We stay in touch. Mike he'd be a great partner to fish with. Broadcaster-wise, there's a couple guys. But I would this is perfect. He's a broadcaster now. He no longer does what he did for a living, and that would be Mike Pereira. Okay, Pereira has taken over the broadcast role. I mean, Mike's a movie star now, but Mike, I fished with Mike a few times, and we're good friends. I would take him up if his back would allow it. And then former player. I'm going to tell you, there's a couple guys I'd like to fish with. You remember Nick Harper? Nick Harper was a corner for the Colts. He's a big outdoors guy.
Nice.
I don't know if he fly fishes, but Troy Polamalu got into fly fishing when he was there in Pittsburgh. And I'd love to take maybe Troy or something like that out and get him out and get them on a boat and get them on the river, things like that. So I'd say, it would be a good combination. Mike Smith,
Yeah,
Troy
absolutely.
Polamalu, and
Yeah.
Mike Pereira.
There you go.
That'd be a
fun
hell of a
group.
fishing trip.
a
That'd
good
be a hell
crew.
of a fishing trip.
Yeah. Once you guys come up and you guys can you can capture it for us. And
Just
we
waiting
can-
for the
I'll
invitation.
let
That
you
was
guys
all.
Grill and pour beer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Listen,
okay.
I'll pull
you
up.
had me at beer. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm in.
Watch
Hey,
out for the grizzly bears now.
listen, I'm glad you took us there because Mikey McNuggets, our producer, has the next question for you, and
And
then
the
we'll let
last
you go.
question.
This is I can't wait to hear this story. But McNuggets, go ahead, take it away.
Hey, Coach, can I call you Coach? Am I allowed to do that?
You can call me when I walk down the hall and the player says, "Hey, Coach," I go, "Hi, player." Or you call me whatever you want. Call me Jeff. You call me whatever you want.
Well, I guess I'll call you Jeff and you call me McNuggets then. We'll
There
see
you
how
go.
that goes. But
Okay,
so
Nug. There you go, Nug.
That's good.
so Jeff, I was doing some research in preparation for
Not
this
lug
interview.
nut. Not lug nut.
No.
You big down here. We call you lug nut down here in the South. But go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So I was doing some research for this interview, Coach, and I found a story that said you know how to fight black bears, and I was scared to click on the link because I wanted to hear the story directly from you. But how do you fight a black bear?
Well, and I don't know where that came from. I may have talked about the difference between, the North American grizzly or the brown bear in Alaska and a black bear. I mean, you would treat a black bear like you would do Dirk back here. If he got out of hand, you just kick and scream and yell and treat them like dogs if you're attacked by a black bear. Now, I've been chased by one, But pulled my hamstring, by the way. So I didn't. I got in shape to go. I got in shape to go hunt, and the last thing I prepared to or did was, run up a muddy slope being chased by a black bear. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, I would be. You just make more noise and act bigger than they are. I think you got a pretty good chance of surviving it.
Bear survival
brown bear,
tips.
Yeah.
Where else are you gonna get them?
No.
Yeah. It's over.
Yeah, I'm happy. We could talk about that on our fishing trip if you guys.
There you go.
I'm in.
Thanks,
I'm in.
Coach.
DeQuell Jackson, the former Browns player, does he have a question? He's not on still anymore, right? He just told you to ask the question. All right, McNuggets,
Yeah,
go ahead.
DeQuell texted me, Coach Jeff, excuse me. You guys just crossed paths beforehand. He said, I thought I was going to be drafted by the Titans in the 2006 NFL draft. Coach, what happened?
Well, did we have him in the Senior Bowl?
I only got that one text. I'm not
Coach, that one text. What happened? He was a little undersized. How's that? He just didn't.
Wow.
No, I don't know. He had a good career.
He said it with a straight face too.
For some reason, I thought we had him in the Senior Bowl.
He did say, Coach,
you know what?
that Coach Fisher was one of my favorite coaches I never had the chance to play for. So maybe it was a Senior Bowl connection.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
Maybe it was. Yeah.
And the undersized is a good story.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just got through talking about one of the best to ever play the game, and that's Aaron. Who knows, DeQuell? Had he taken the Aaron Donald approach to being a pro, he might still be playing. Who knows?
Jabs.
That's too good.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Jeff Fisher from the USFL and the Michigan Panthers. Coach, thanks so much for coming on and sharing some fun stories with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, bye from me and Dirk. We'll see you guys.
Bye, Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk too. We love Dirk.
Be good.
Big fan.
Go pet him. You got to go pet him.
So
now.
the USFL will be playing
Okay.
its semifinals and its championship game in Canton. And he's right. That
is cool.
venue
That's
is
great.
an awesome
The
venue.
house that Garrett Bush built.
Yeah, that's what it's known as. That's
is
what
it?
it's known as.
The
Yeah.
house of Garrett, but that's
You
right.
didn't know that?
Yep.
Where you been?
You know that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
no, I
cut
didn't
the
know that
ribbon.
they
He
called
cut
it
the
that.
ribbon.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
I do
that.
now.
How could you
Do they
not?
have a picture of you anywhere? This is how you can figure out how good a guy was in his high school.
Yeah, I'm
Is
retired.
there a hanging picture of you anywhere in your high school?
Yes, I'm part of the Canton McKinley Hall of Fame.
Wow.
There you go. Then that's official. Congratulations.